What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Alpha Girl Confidence Podcast. This is episode 247. We are just a few episodes away from Big 250. I can't believe that it's already 250 episodes almost. So I am planning on trying something exciting for 250, maybe an exciting guest. But it's cool because 250 will be the first episode of 2024. So it just all fell together nicely. So excited about today's episode where we're going to be diving into leadership, and not just leadership, but one of the most important things that is needed, that needs to be cultivated and fostered if you want to be a good leader in your life, in your sport, in your school, with your friends, with your family. So this is going to be a highly valuable episode for anyone who wants to develop their leadership abilities and confidence in their leadership. So that thing that every leader needs, that thing that we're striving for as a leader, that we want our so-called followers, is we need trust. As a leader, if you don't have the trust of your teammates, the trust of your friends, the trust of your classmates, you're not going to be a very good leader. You're not even going to be considered a leader by those people that you want to lead. So you have to develop trust. And trust is something that's not necessarily easy to gain. It takes time, but it's something that can be broken quite easily. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about 5 ways that you can build trust with whoever it is, whether that be teammates, classmates, family, friends, the people that you're trying to help and inspire and lead. So get ready to take notes because we're going to go through each of these 5 things. And then coaches, if you're listening, make sure you listen to the end because I got something that I want to share with you as well. So the first thing in order to build trust is reliability. You have to be reliable. It's so simple, but reliability is when you do what you say you're going to do, right? You don't overpromise, you don't overcommit. When you overpromise, when you overcommit, you can't stick to your word. So having that reliability and as a follower to have a leader that you know that when they say they're going to do it, you know they're going to do it, like that is so huge in building trust. So one really important thing, again, that I want to hit on is don't overcommit. This is something that I used to do all the time, and I still have to remind myself to not do this. But remember that if you commit to more than you can manage, you're going to end up, either not doing a very good job or you're going to not be able to follow through on your word. So reliability, if you're not reliable, if you don't do what you say you're going to do, you're never going to be able to gain and earn the trust of your followers. And I don't really like using the word followers, but for lack of a better word, I'm going to use that word. So that's the first thing, is reliability. You got to be reliable. All right. The second thing is you must be accountable. Okay. So we as humans, we like and we look up to people that own up to their mistakes, right? I'm sure you can think of a leader that you've had, whether it be a coach or a captain or something, where they made mistakes and they didn't own up to it. And you're like, something's fishy here, right? Like you didn't really trust that person. So being accountable means you own up to your mistakes, you own up to your shortcomings. And not only do you own up and take responsibility, but you make amends with it, right? You make it right. You fix it. Right? So being accountable is not always easy, right? It's not always easy to own up to your mistakes. It's actually very difficult. But this is a story that I've told before. A lot of the girls that have listened to a lot of my stuff and they've been in my programs have heard this. So I'll tell it, a shortened version of it. But when I was, I think it was right before my senior year, I think we were running fitness. In college, 2-a-days, we were doing what's called 44s, which is sprint 44 yards, touch the line, sprint back. So you had to touch the line. Well, we were almost done with it, and I was so dog tired that I didn't touch the line. I cheated myself, I cheated my teammates, and the coaches saw it. All right, so they said, all right, someone didn't touch the line. We're all going to do it again. We're all going to do double of what we just did. We're going to start from the beginning because someone didn't touch the line. All right. So I'm like, oh my gosh, that was me. It's my fault. Like I felt so terrible. This was an internal conversation I'm having with myself because we just had to start running again. So we finished the thing all over again. And then we come back as a team to kind of break it down. And I'm thinking like, all right, Do I own up to this, or do I pretend like nobody saw? Like the coaches saw, but no one else really knew who didn't touch the line. So I was kind of having this discussion with myself, like, do I say something or do I not? And thank goodness I made the right decision. And I said, hey guys, I'm so sorry, but it was me who didn't touch the line. I promise you I will never do that again. And I never did that again. I always went way over the line because I wanted to own up to it. And after that, it's like I was named a captain. I was a leader on the team. But I think that one moment of owning up to my mistakes is what gained the trust of my teammates. Yeah, they were mad at me for the moment, but they also trusted me because owning up to that was not easy because everyone was probably very upset that I made them run double, right? And so accountability also goes both ways, right? So the other thing is when your teammate makes a mistake or your parents make a mistake or whatever, like give them the chance to own up to their mistakes, right? Don't like call someone out on their mistake right away because then you aren't giving them a chance, right? So if your teammate makes a mistake, give them a chance to own up to it, right? So they can own up to it and do the thing instead of you just immediately calling them out. Like that's not a leader. That's not going to build trust. So number one with accountability is own up to your mistakes and make it right. And number two is let people own up to their mistakes and don't feel like you got to call everyone out all the time immediately. All right. Number three. All right. Number three. This, I can't say which one is the most important, but without this one, this is just important in being a human being is integrity, right? Integrity. So I got this one. I saw this beautiful, quote or, I guess definition from Brene Brown. And that is that integrity is choosing courage over comfort. It's choosing what's right over what's fun, fast, or easy, right? And she also said that it's more than just knowing what your values are, but it's living your values. It's embodying your values. It's not just being able to rattle off your values and yeah, here's what I think is right, but do you actually live your values? If you live your values, then you're in integrity. If you don't live your values, that's not in integrity, right? The big thing I want you to get here is courage over comfort, doing what's right over what's easy. A lot of the time, the right thing is the hard thing. I'm going to say that again. A lot of the time, doing the right thing is the hard thing. Okay, just like me owning up to my mistakes, that was the harder thing. A lot of the most difficult things you've done in your life, it was probably the right thing, but it was the hard thing, right? So whenever you have a decision, am I going to do this? Am I going to say this? Am I going to treat someone this way? Whatever it is, ask yourself the question, am I doing this because it's an easy thing or because it's the right thing, right? And when you are in integrity, number one, you're going to gain the trust of your people. But number two is you're going to build trust with yourself, right? You're going to be able to trust yourself because number one, if you don't trust yourself, other people aren't going to trust you, right? But if you go against what you believe is right and if you go against your values, you're going to start to break the trust that you have with yourself. So being in integrity, like it shouldn't have to be said, but like just do what's right over what's easy. And this is something that I love about myself more than anything else, about any of my characteristics, other than how funny I think I am, and how good of a dancer I am, is my ability to live my values. So if something doesn't feel right for you, even though it may be the easy thing or the cool thing, don't do it. And I might get into this on a future episode around peer pressure, but integrity. You got to have integrity if you want to be a good leader, if you want to have people trust you. All right, moving on. Number four here. Number four is inclusivity, is fostering an inclusive environment. This is huge with teenage girls in general, teenagers in general, but especially teenage girls, right? Think of a time where maybe you came to a new team and you felt like an outsider, or you joined a new friend group, or you were in a class and you felt like an outsider. It's not very fun, right? Or maybe you were on a team and someone came in and you purposefully as a team, like you didn't want to include this person, maybe because they're new, maybe because they look different, maybe because they talk different. being a good leader is about creating an inclusive environment. Help make people feel like they belong. As humans, that's one of our greatest desires, is to feel like we belong. So help your friends, help new kids at school, help the girl at school, the boy at school who's getting bullied, help them to feel like they belong, like they're good enough, despite their differences. This is so huge. And like, think about it. It's just like the golden rule: treat other people how you want to be treated. If you're in a new situation, a new environment, if you're different, right? Which being different is beautiful. If you're different, how do you want to be welcomed into that community? Great. Now treat other people that way. Okay. I was going to do a full episode on inclusivity because I feel like this is so important with so much of the cattiness and comparison and unhealthy competition that goes on in youth sports and female sports and women's sports. So it's like, just when you're in a position, and not even if you're considered the so-called captain or leader, can you help make people feel welcome despite their differences? Can you help people feel like they're loved and like they're wanted? If you can do that, like, you're going to go so far in life, because doing that and having that ability to make people feel like they belong is something that everyone desires, that everyone wants. And that's a skill that you can take with you for the rest of your life. So I really want you to lean into this one. And like, what ways can you create a more inclusive environment within your team? I guarantee you there's so many girls listening where there's cliques on your team. Can you try to break down those cliques and create a more inclusive environment? Can you try to welcome the new girl to go hang out with the team instead of making her feel like she's an outsider? Can you help the girl or the boy at school who, gets picked on, whether it be like this explicit bullying or maybe it's just these little things? Can you make one person feel like they belong? And when you do that, not only are you just an amazing, great human being, but you're going to gain the trust of people. And this is a huge one, all right? So really lean into that one. All right, I go on all day about that. And the last one, which I believe is number 5, is non-judgmental. All right, raise your hand. If you are going to trust a leader, let's say you got a leader, you got a captain, you're going to go talk to them, right? Let's say you go talk to them, you tell them something in confidence, and they judge you about it. Are you going to trust them to go talk to them again? Are you going to trust them with anything anymore? Absolutely not. So be non-judgmental. It's about letting people be vulnerable with you, like letting people express like what they're going through without you judging them for it, without you judging how they're feeling or what they're feeling, right? And the same thing like is true as like for you to also feel like you're not judging yourself. Because if you judge yourself, then you're probably going to judge other people. You know what I mean? So non-judgment is about being vulnerable with someone without being judged by them, right? While also you yourself as a leader being vulnerable with other people. Because if it's only one-sided where it's like, yes, come talk to me, but you're not willing to talk to other people, then it's like a one-way street. Like, we don't want that with leadership. We want this two-way street. So when people come to you, can you just be kind and like not judge? And then same thing, and when you go to other people, don't judge yourself, and like be vulnerable, be open to go to other people, and don't always assume that people are going to judge you. You know what I mean? So this one is huge because, again, if it could be this, like I said at the beginning, trust is easy to break. So if someone comes to you and you judge them for something, that trust can be immediately shattered right then and there. All right? So each one of these things, you can't just have one and not have the other. You've got to implement each one of these things if you really want to build trust, right? And become a great leader. Number 1, you got to be reliable. You got to do what you say you're going to do. Like, hold on to like, make your promise. Like, it's a promise. You're going to make it happen. Number 2, You got to be accountable. You got to own up to your mistakes. You got to make amends. You got to fix it, right? It's like taking responsibility for your shortcomings, right? And also letting other people take responsibility for theirs. Number 3 is integrity, choosing courage over comfort, doing what's right over what's easy. Cement that one in. And then creating an inclusive environment, so making people feel like they're welcome no matter what, all right? No matter what. And then the last one is being non-judgmental when people come to you, when they're vulnerable with you, and just practicing that non-judgment, all right? So I hope this helps you. If you apply this in your life, and I know this is 5 things, you're not going to be able to apply all of these things. I mean, some of these things you guys are probably already applying, but I just want you guys to really take this in and apply it in your life. Just like with anything in the podcast, guys, like knowledge means nothing without action, right? You've got to put what you're learning into action. You've got to practice it. You've got to embody it. You can't just be reliable once or do the right thing once. You've got to do it every single time. That doesn't mean you're perfect, but your intentions is that you're going to get better. Your intentions is you're going to get better and do better every single time, and you're going to practice it. You're going to embody it. So practice what you're learning, embody it, share it. And I hope this episode is helpful. And coaches, if you're listening, all right, if you're listening through and share this with your team, this is going to majorly help team culture and everything like that. I am going to be at the United Soccer Coaches Convention, January 10th through the 14th. So if you're a soccer coach, this is for you. If you're another coach, I don't think you're not allowed. You got to be a soccer coach. But soccer coaches, January 10th through the 14th in Anaheim, California. I will be there on Media Row with the podcast. So I'll probably do some live podcasts during that time. So if you're going, use discount code ALPHA24 for a little discount on your registration. I'll put the links below for any coaches that are attending that. And coaches, if you are attending, whether you've signed up yet or not, let me know. Send me a message. I love to connect with you. Love to meet you in the flesh there and give you my thanks for listening to the podcast, for supporting the podcast. All right, guys, thank you so much for checking out this episode. Make sure you are applying what you're learning, and I'll catch you next week.